You close the billion-dollar merger. The contract is signed. The room exhales. But the air doesn't clear. It thickens. It curdles with a scent that doesn't belong in a boardroom. Rain, cedarwood, and a sharp, predatory musk that coats the back of your throat. Across the table, the victorious CEO doesn't stand to shake your hand. He remains seated. His amber gaze, which had been laser-focused on the numbers, is now locked onto you. It's not professional admiration you see there. It's recognition. It's a silent, primal claim that lands in the pit of your stomach like a stone. You won the deal. You secured your firm's future. But as his scent wraps around you, overwhelming the sterile air, you understand the truth. His victory isn't just over the contract. A darker, more personal battle has just begun in the silence. Why does this triumph feel like a trap? The others file out, their congratulations echoing in the hall. The door clicks shut. You're alone with him. The scent of his victory, cedarwood, rain, and raw power, is now the only thing you can breathe. It's inside your lungs, on your skin. He speaks of you. His voice is a low baritone that vibrates through the polished table. Your performance was exceptional. A masterclass in leverage and nerve. He leans back, his suit jacket straining across his shoulders. But you held back on Clause 7. You left a concession on the table. Why? You straighten your spine. It was a strategic choice to close the deal, Mr. Moretti. The contract is concluded. Dante, he corrects softly. And we are not discussing the contract. He inhales deeply, his eyes closing for a second. You smell of vanilla and defiance. It's a fascinating combination. Nothing to do with business. Your heart hammers against your ribs. This is inappropriate. Inappropriate, he repeats, as if tasting the word. He stands. The space between you vanishes. His presence is a physical weight, pressing the air from the room. You take an instinctive step back, your heels hitting the wall. He's there, looming over you, a wall of heat and scent. I'm not your mate, you whisper, the defiance in your voice trembling. A slow, dangerous smile touches his lips. He leans down, his breath a warm threat against your ear. The growl in his voice is barely contained. By dawn, he promises, the words sinking into your bones, you'll beg to be claimed. You flee. You make it to your car, fumbling with the keys. You lock the doors. But as you drive, the city lights blur into streaks of gold. His scent lingers on your skin. The next morning, your professional world crumbles. The email arrives at 7:03 a.m. Your firm's biggest client, the one you secured yesterday with the Moretti deal, has abruptly terminated all contracts. The reason is a vague, strategic realignment. The financial collapse is immediate. Your phone begins to vibrate on the desk, a frantic, dying insect. Partners, investors. Your assistant's panicked face appears at your door. You spend 2 hours in damage control, a cold sweat tracing your spine. You trace the client's corporate structure, your fingers flying over the keyboard. The answer is a punch to the gut. The client was a subsidiary of Obsidian Holdings, Dante Moretti's empire. He arrives at your office at noon. The door opens and he fills the frame. He wears a different suit, charcoal gray, his expression one of calm, detached observation, like a scientist watching a predictable reaction. You say, the word a dry crackle. Me, he confirms, closing the door. He surveys your office, the frantic notes on your desk, the pale cast of your face. A regrettable necessity. Economic terrorism, you spit, standing. Your hands are fists at your sides. Strategic acquisition, he counters, unperturbed. He walks to your desk and places a single embossed folder upon it. I have a proposal. You don't touch it. I'm listening. The client is reinstated. All losses are covered. Your firm's financial security is guaranteed for 5 years. A bulletproof golden parachute. His amber eyes hold yours. In exchange, you accept my courtship. A public arrangement. 30 days. Courtship. You laugh, the sound brittle. You need a human shield. Your PAC's counsel is forcing a political mate on you. A flicker of surprise, then approval, crosses his features. You've done your research. Good. Yes, I require a fiancé who presents no threat to the existing power structure. Someone with no interest in PAC politics. Someone who will convincingly reject me when the time comes. And you chose the woman who hates you. I chose the woman who isn't afraid of me, he corrects. Your lack of interest is the point. Perform the role. 30 days of public appearances. You move into the penthouse. At the end, you walk away. Your life secured. A simple trade. Your fury is a white-hot coal. You manufactured a crisis to force me to the table. I created leverage to open a negotiation, he says, his voice devoid of apology. You are a negotiator. You understand leverage. You want to throw the folder in his face. You want to scream. But you see the numbers scrolling behind your eyes, the layoffs, the foreclosures, the end of everything you've built. He watches you pack from the doorway of your apartment. He doesn't help. He observes. His notebook is in his hand, his pen occasionally making a soft scratching sound. You pack your armor, tailored suits, sharp heels, your favorite leather portfolio. You leave the personal things, the framed photo of your parents, the worn stuffed animal from childhood. You are not moving in. You are relocating an asset. He watches you pack from the doorway of your apartment. He observes. His notebook is in his hand, his pen occasionally making a soft scratching sound. You pack your tools, tailored suits, sharp heels, your favorite leather portfolio. You leave the personal things, the framed photo of your parents, the worn stuffed animal from childhood. You are not moving in. You are relocating an asset. No, you whisper, the fight draining into a hollow ache. He doesn't argue. He simply reaches into his pocket and places a small, ancient gold band on the desk beside the folder. It's heavy, masculine, etched with worn patterns. A prop, he says, but the weight of it in the room feels like a collar. He turns to leave. Wait. He pauses, hand on the door. You swallow the taste of ash and surrender. Rules. A slow, predatory smile touches his lips. He reaches into his inner jacket pocket and produces a slim black notebook and a fountain pen. He clicks it open. I'm listening. He watches you pack from the doorway of your apartment. He doesn't help. He observes. His notebook is in his hand, his pen occasionally making a soft scratching sound. You pack your armor, tailored suits, sharp heels, your favorite leather portfolio. You leave the personal things, the framed photo of your parents, the worn stuffed animal from childhood. You are not moving in. You are relocating an asset. The drive to the Obsidian Tower is silent. The elevator to the penthouse feels like ascending into a cage made of glass and cold light. The doors open onto a space of stunning, sterile emptiness. Floor-to-ceiling windows show a city you no longer recognize. Black marble floors, white furniture. It is a museum of power, devoid of life. Your wing is to the left, Dante says, setting your suitcase down. It looks absurdly small on the vast marble. The master suite is to the right, the kitchen is stocked. The rules are in effect. You walk to the guest wing. The door opens to a suite larger than your entire apartment. It is decorated in cool grays and blues, impersonal, perfect. But as you step inside, you feel it, a gentle, radiant heat rising through the floor. Heated floors. You'd shivered once in a boardroom meeting, complaining of cold marble. He'd written it down. On the dresser sits a French press and a bag of coffee beans, your preferred single-origin roast from a tiny farm you'd mentioned in passing. Next to it, a set of professional-grade sketching pencils and a pristine pad of watercolor paper. You haven't drawn since college. You'd abandon it for the sharper lines of contracts. Your body betrays you with a traitorous, warm flush. This isn't hospitality, it's dissection. He has studied your file, and he is recreating your habitat. You lock the door. You push a heavy armchair under the handle. The scrape of wood on marble is loud in the absolute silence. A low, soft chuckle echoes from the other side of the door. He'd heard it. Of course he had. The lock is titanium. His voice comes, muffled but clear. The chair is oak. I could reduce both to splinters without shifting form. A pause. The air itself seems to still, waiting. But I do not enter where I am not invited. Sleep well. You stand there, your ear pressed to the cold wood, listening to his retreating footsteps. Your heartbeat is a frantic drum against your ribs, sinking to the slow, deliberate rhythm of his walk. It is a primal recognition, a cellular understanding of the predator just beyond the wall. The summons comes at noon, a soft chime, then his voice through an unseen speaker, calm and absolute. The council arrives in 10 minutes. Wear the black dress from the closet, the one with the high neck. You find the dress. It is a weapon of silk and shadow, designed to make you look untouchable. You put it on. The gold band, your prop, feels like a brand on your finger. They enter the penthouse not as guests, but as a tribunal. 4 of them. Elder Marcus, with hair like silver wire and eyes that dismiss you before you've spoken. Vanessa, whose smile is a scalpel. 2 others, silent sentinels of tradition. The air grows heavy with the scent of old power and open disdain. King Dante, Marcus intones, giving a shallow bow. His gaze slides to you. And the human. He says the word like a diagnosis. Dante stands beside you, a statue of contained force. He says nothing. He is letting the test begin. Maya, you say, stepping forward. You do not bow. You extend your hand. Marcus stares at your offered hand as if it's a dead thing. He does not take it. We were surprised by your choice, Alpha. The bloodline must be considered. The bloodline is strong, Dante says, his voice a low rumble. It is my choice that matters. Vanessa sniffs the air delicately. She smells of vanilla and paper. It is a common scent. Can she even understand the weight she would carry, the violence of our world? You feel Dante's tension beside you, a bowstring drawn taut. You remember his notebook. She fights her own battles. You lift your chin. I understand balance sheets and hostile takeovers. I understand leverage and consequence. Your world runs on territory and resources. So does mine. The currency is just bloodier. Marcus's eyes narrow. He takes a step toward you, invading your space, using his height and his age as a weapon. Territory is won with tooth and claw, child, not with clever words. You are fragile. You will break. And when you break, you will weaken him. He leans closer, his voice dropping to a venomous whisper meant only for you. How much is he paying you? We will double it. Leave now and spare us all the embarrassment. The room holds its breath. Dante lets out a soft, warning growl, the first sound of the beast beneath the king. You hold up a hand, a silent command for him to wait. You don't step back. You look Marcus dead in his pale, judgmental eyes. You think I'm here for money? You let out a short, dry laugh. Listen to me, Cujo. I broker peace between corporations that would happily sell your forest for lumber. I've stared down men who make your posturing look like a tantrum. I don't need claws to hold a room, and I certainly don't need your permission to stand beside him. The silence is profound. Vanessa's mouth parts slightly. Marcus blinks, thrown off axis by the insult, by the sheer audacity. You see the calculation in his eyes. This is not fear. This is defiance of a different, unfamiliar kind. A low, approving hum vibrates from Dante's chest. He moves then, closing the distance between you in one fluid step. His arm wraps around your waist, pulling you firmly into his side. The heat of him is a shock, a claim. She has teeth, he declares to the room, his voice thick with a pride that feels dangerously real. Any insult to her is a challenge to me. Are we clear? The council murmurs their assent, the fight gone out of them for now. The victory is hollow. As they make their stiff farewells, Dante's hand remains on your hip, his thumb stroking a slow, possessive arc through the silk of your dress. The touch burns, a brand of a different sort. When the elevator doors close, he releases you. You step away, your skin tingling where his hand had been. He pulls out the black notebook, his pen scratching against the page. What did you write? You ask, your voice unsteady. He shows you the page. The handwriting is sharp, decisive. She defends the territory. He looks from the words to you, his amber gaze holding a new, unsettling intensity. Keeper. The storm arrives hours later, long after midnight. It doesn't build, it assaults. Thunder cracks directly over the glass spire of the tower, a sound so immense it vibrates in your teeth. Lightning bleaches the penthouse in stark, blinding white, turning the furniture into jagged ghosts. You are in your bed, the heated floor doing nothing for the chill in your marrow. You've always hated storms. They feel like the sky is breaking. Another cannon roar of thunder shakes the very walls. You flinch, pulling the duvet over your head, a child's instinct you thought you'd outgrown. Then you hear it, a sound beneath the storm. It's not thunder, it's closer, raw, agonized. A scream, choked and guttural, torn from a throat not meant for human sound. It comes from his wing. Your logic is a frail voice in the roaring dark. Not your business. He's a king. He's a beast. Stay behind your locked door. The scream comes again, this time laced with a pleading terror that bypasses all reason. It's the sound of someone being flayed alive in their sleep. You are moving before you decide. The chair is still under your door handle. You shove it aside, the scrape lost in another peal of thunder. The hallway is a tunnel of shadow, lit only by the intermittent fury of the lightning. The door to the master suite is ajar. The cold hits you first. The room is arctic, the air conditioning screaming at full blast. In the strobe light of the storm, you see him. Dante is a thrashing shape in the center of the massive bed, the sheets a snarled prison around his legs. He is shirtless, his skin sheened with a cold sweat that glistens like ice in the flashes of light. You approach slowly. Dante. He doesn't hear you. His back is to you, and in a searing bolt of lightning, you see it. The myth of the invincible king shatters. His back is a ruined landscape. A crosshatch of thick, ropey scars, old, vicious claw marks that speak of fights against monsters. But between them are other marks. Silver burns, the flesh still pale and shiny, deliberate and precise. Long, thin lines from a knife, not in frenzy, but in ceremony. This isn't just battle damage. This is a history of torture. Someone held him down and made art of his pain. The sight steals your breath. The ruthless CEO, the alpha predator, is just a man with a back carved from nightmares. No, he gasps, his voice a broken rasp. Not them. Take me. Please, take me. You kneel on the bed, the cold silk biting through your thin sleep shirt. You reach out, your hand hovering over the horrific tapestry of his skin. You don't touch the scars. You place your palm gently on the unmarked skin of his shoulder. Dante, you say, firmer this time. Wake up. It's a dream. His eyes snap open. They are not amber. They are pure feral gold, glowing in the dark. They see nothing. With a snarl of pure panic, his hand flashes up, grabbing your wrist in a crushing vice. The pain is instant, blinding. You feel the bones grind. You don't fight. You don't scream. You go utterly still. Dante, you say, your voice a calm anchor in his storm. Look at me. It's Maya. You're safe. You're in the tower. He blinks, his chest heaving. The wild gold in his eyes flickers, receding like a tide, leaving behind the familiar amber, wide with horror. He looks at your wrist in his grip, at your face. He releases you as if burned, scrambling back against the headboard. The movement is jerky, animal. Maya, his voice is shredded. Did I hurt you? You cradle your throbbing wrist. You were dreaming. Shame floods his features, a vulnerability more shocking than the scars. He turns his head away, his jaw clenched. Get out. You shouldn't see this. You shouldn't see me. See what? You ask, not moving. That you have nightmares? I have them too. Mine are about losing everything I've built. Yours are older. It is not the same, he barks, the king trying to reassert himself over the shattered man. I am the alpha. I do not show weakness. You're bleeding, you say quietly. He looks at his hands. He'd driven his own claws into his palms during the dream, leaving 4 perfect, deep punctures in each. Blood wells, dark and slow. You don't ask permission. You get off the bed, find a clean cloth in his adjoining bathroom, and return. You kneel before him again and reach for his hand. He flinches, but lets you take it. His hand is massive in yours, trembling slightly. You press the cloth to the wounds, the scent of his blood, copper, and that sharp, wild musk, filling the space between you. The silence is thick, broken only by the fading rumble of the storm outside. You tend to the self-inflicted wounds under the cold moonlight, your touch clinical but gentle. It is an intimacy far deeper than any touch the rules could have anticipated. When you're done, you stand. He won't look at you. Go back to sleep, Dante. You walk to the door. You don't close it. You flip the switch in the hallway, flooding it with a soft, golden light that spills into the edge of his Arctic room. A beacon. A path. You return to your own room. You don't push the chair back under the handle. You lie in the dark, listening. You don't hear the rustle of sheets. You don't hear his breathing even out. But from the direction of his room, much later, you hear the soft, definitive click of his fountain pen. In the morning, you will find the black notebook left open on the kitchen island. The page is blank except for one word, written large and underlined with such force the pen nearly tore the paper. Safe. The storm arrives hours later, long after midnight. It doesn't build, it assaults. Thunder cracks directly over the glass spire of the tower, a sound so immense it vibrates in your teeth. Lightning bleaches the penthouse in stark, blinding white, turning the furniture into jagged ghosts. You are in your bed, the heated floor doing nothing for the chill in your marrow. You've always hated storms. They feel like the sky is breaking. Another cannon roar of thunder shakes the very walls. You flinch, pulling the duvet over your head, a child's instinct you thought you'd outgrown. Then you hear it, a sound beneath the storm. It's not thunder, it's closer, raw, agonized. A scream, choked and guttural, torn from a throat not meant for human sound. It comes from his wing. Your logic is a frail voice in the roaring dark. Not your business. He's a king. He's a beast. Stay behind your locked door. The scream comes again, this time laced with a pleading terror that bypasses all reason. It's the sound of someone being flayed alive in their sleep. You are moving before you decide. The chair is still under your door handle. You shove it aside, the scrape lost in another peal of thunder. The hallway is a tunnel of shadow, lit only by the intermittent fury of the lightning. The door to the master suite is ajar. The cold hits you first. The room is arctic, the air conditioning screaming at full blast. In the strobe light of the storm, you see him. Dante is a thrashing shape in the center of the massive bed, the sheets a snarled prison around his legs. He is shirtless, his skin sheened with a cold sweat that glistens like ice in the flashes of light. You approach slowly. Dante. He doesn't hear you. His back is to you. And in a searing bolt of lightning, you see it. The myth of the invincible king shatters. His back is a ruined landscape, a crosshatch of thick, ropey scars, old, vicious claw marks that speak of fights against monsters. But between them are other marks. Silver burns, the flesh still pale and shiny, deliberate and precise. Long, thin lines from a knife, not in frenzy, but in ceremony. This isn't just battle damage. This is a history of torture. Someone held him down and made art of his pain. The sight steals your breath. The ruthless CEO, the alpha predator, is just a man with a back carved from nightmares. No, he gasps, his voice a broken rasp. Not them. Take me. Please, take me. You kneel on the bed, the cold silk biting through your thin sleep shirt. You reach out, your hand hovering over the horrific tapestry of his skin. You don't touch the scars. You place your palm gently on the unmarked skin of his shoulder. Dante, you say, firmer this time. Wake up. It's a dream. His eyes snap open. They are not amber. They are pure, feral gold, glowing in the dark. They see nothing. With a snarl of pure panic, his hand flashes up, grabbing your wrist in a crushing vice. The pain is instant, blinding. You feel the bones grind. You don't fight. You don't scream. You go utterly still. "Dante," you say, your voice a calm anchor in his storm. "Look at me. It's Maya. You're safe. You're in the tower." He blinks, his chest heaving. The wild gold in his eyes flickers, receding like a tide, leaving behind the familiar amber, wide with horror. He looks at your wrist in his grip, at your face. He releases you as if burned, scrambling back against the headboard. The movement is jerky, animal. "Maya." His voice is shredded. Did I hurt you?" You cradle your throbbing wrist. You were dreaming. Shame floods his features, a vulnerability more shocking than the scars. He turns his head away, his jaw clenched. "Get out. You shouldn't see this. You shouldn't see me." "See what?" you ask, not moving. "That you have nightmares? I have them too. Mine are about losing everything I've built. Yours are older." "It is not the same," he barks, the king trying to reassert himself over the shattered man. "I am the alpha. I do not show weakness." "You're bleeding," you say quietly. He looks at his hands. He'd driven his own claws into his palms during the dream, leaving 4 perfect, deep punctures in each. Blood wells, dark and slow. You don't ask permission. You get off the bed, find a clean cloth in his adjoining bathroom, and return. You kneel before him again and reach for his hand. He flinches, but lets you take it. His hand is massive in yours, trembling slightly. You press the cloth to the wounds, the scent of his blood, copper and that sharp, wild musk, filling the space between you. The silence is thick, broken only by the fading rumble of the storm outside. You tend to the self-inflicted wounds under the cold moonlight, your touch clinical but gentle. It is an intimacy far deeper than any touch the rules could have anticipated. When you're done, you stand. He won't look at you. "Go back to sleep, Dante." You walk to the door. You don't close it. You flip the switch in the hallway, flooding it with a soft, golden light that spills into the edge of his Arctic room. A beacon. A path. You return to your own room. You don't push the chair back under the handle. You lie in the dark, listening. You don't hear the rustle of sheets. You don't hear his breathing even out. But from the direction of his room, much later, you hear the soft, definitive click of his fountain pen. In the morning, you will find the black notebook left open on the kitchen island. The page is blank except for one word, written large and underlined with such force the pen nearly tore the paper. Safe. You find him in the kitchen the next morning. The storm is past, leaving the city washed in a sharp, unforgiving light. He is at the marble island, sleeves of his white dress shirt rolled to his elbows. He is not reviewing a tablet. He is making coffee. The domesticity of it is more disorienting than the violence of the night. He doesn't look up as you enter. "Sit," he says, his voice a calm baritone. It holds no trace of the shattered man from the dark. He slides a massive ceramic mug toward you. Steam rises in a fragrant curl. 3 sugars, oat milk, a dash of cinnamon. You stare at the mug. It is hand-thrown, glazed a deep blue, utterly at odds with the sterile perfection of the penthouse. You never told him you take cinnamon. You'd mumbled it to your mother on the phone days ago, complaining the office coffee lacked a holiday spirit. "You listen to my private calls," you say, your voice flat. "I observe data," he corrects, finally looking at you. His amber eyes are clear, analytical. He picks up his own espresso. "You stated a preference. I noted it. The cinnamon was a logical addition to improve your morning biochemical baseline." He taps his chest pocket, where the outline of the black notebook is a permanent fixture. "Try it." You take a sip. It is perfect. The betrayal is a warm, sweet ache in your chest. "This is unsettling." "It is efficient," he says. He leans against the counter, watching you with that unnerving focus. "Emotion is a variable I do not intuitively process, so I study it. I break it into component parts: action, reaction, physiological response." He gestures to you with his cup. "You are my most critical project." The word project should feel cold. It doesn't. It feels terrifyingly accurate. So all of this, the heated floors, the art supplies, the coffee, it's just data collection. It is courtship, he states, as if defining a chemical reaction. I am courting you. The traditional methods, gifts, grand gestures, are inefficient. They do not account for your specific psychological profile. You value autonomy, security, and evidence of being understood. Therefore, my courtship is evidence-based. He walks to the refrigerator and pulls out a container of fresh berries, placing them on the island between you. You skipped dinner last night. Your blood sugar's likely low. Eat. You don't touch the berries. And the nightmare? Was that data? He goes very still. The scientist's facade cracks for a single, revealing second. You see the shame flash in his eyes, quickly buried. That was a system error, he says, his voice tighter. One I did not intend for you to witness. It has been logged for analysis. He picks up his notebook, clicks his pen, and writes a single, swift line. He does not show you. The silence stretches, filled with the hum of the sub-zero and the distant pulse of the city. You watch him, the predator who studies fear, who writes love as a series of bullet points. The man who left the light on. You're going about this all wrong, you say softly. He looks up, intrigued. Explain. You can't logic someone into wanting you. The data might tell you how to make me feel safe or seen, but it can't manufacture the feeling itself. That's the part you have to risk. He considers this, his head tilted. It is a purely animal gesture. Risk is the calculation of potential loss against potential gain. I have calculated the gain to be worth any loss. That's not a feeling, that's a spreadsheet. Then teach me, he says, the command stripped bare, leaving only a raw, stark need. The notebook is a tool. Use it. Give me the data points I am missing. You look at the perfect coffee, the remembered berries, the light he left on in the dark, the flutter in your chest, not fear, but a traitorous, thrilling recognition. He isn't trying to own you. He is trying, with agonizing precision, to learn how to deserve you. We have an event tonight, he says, closing the subject. A pack gathering. You will need appropriate attire. You sigh, the momentary connection broken. More armor? He reaches for the notebook, flips a page, and reads. Note, she values authenticity over pageantry. Leather is a go. He looks at you, a spark of something that isn't clinical at all in his gaze. We're going shopping. The boutique is a temple of silent judgment. It's called Velour, a name that sounds like a whisper and costs like a scream. The air is thick with the scent of chilled flowers and new money. The manager is a she-wolf named Anya, all sharp angles and a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. She looks at your tailored trousers and silk blouse, at the defiance in your stance, and her nostrils flare slightly. The Alpha King's guest. We were instructed to prepare a selection. The selection is a parade of pastel prisons, ruffles, lace, constricting satin, gowns designed to make you look delicate, breakable, decorative. You are shoved into a dressing room the size of a small apartment, and the assault begins. A blush pink monstrosity that makes you look like a melting cake. A mint green sheath that feels like being shrink-wrapped. It's to soften your lines, Anya says through the door, her voice dripping with faux sympathy, to make you appear more approachable to the pack. You stand before the three-way mirror in a chiffon nightmare, the color of a faded bruise. You don't see a queen. You see a hostage, dressed for her own auction. The gold band on your finger feels like a shackle. Your reflection is a stranger, packaged and polite. The heat of a slow, burning anger begins to replace the chill of humiliation. Dante is a dark presence on a velvet settee in the main salon, scrolling through his tablet. He hasn't looked up once. He is trusting the experts. The final straw is an ivory gown with a neckline that plunges to your navel and sleeves of sheer lace. Anya beams. This is traditional. It showcases availability. Something in you snaps. The negotiator, the woman who built an empire on her own terms, surfaces with a vicious clarity. You don't rage. You go very still. You look at your trapped reflection, then at the closed door. You don't call for Anya. You walk out of the dressing room wearing your own clothes, the pastel abominations left in a heap on the floor. The click of your heels on the marble floor is the only sound. Dante looks up. Anya's smile freezes. You walk past them both, directly to the main rack. You ignore the silk and tulle. Your fingers, trained to find leverage in fine print, skim over fabrics until they land on something substantial. You pull out a gown. It is not a color. It is a depth. Midnight blue so dark it drinks the light, in a heavy liquid satin that drapes like a promise. Simple, severe, powerful. Next to it, hanging alone, is a jacket. Cropped, sharp, made of buttery black leather. It has no frills, only clean lines and subtle silver zippers. Armor. You turn, holding them up. These. Anya gasps. That is a Vargas original. It is not meant for gala events. And the jacket? A leather jacket? It's unorthodox. It's aggressive. Dante has set his tablet down. He is looking at you, at the garments in your hands. His analytical gaze sweeps over them, then back to your face. He sees not the clothing, but the choice, the reclamation. He stands slowly and walks toward you. He takes the dress and jacket from your hands, his fingers brushing yours. He holds them up, studying them as if they were tactical schematics. She is unorthodox, he says, his voice a low, final verdict. He hands them back to you, his amber eyes locking onto yours. A current passes between you, silent and electric. Try them on. In the dressing room, the transformation is not one of beauty, but of alignment. The dress sheathes you, every curve acknowledged but not exploited. It is power, quiet and absolute. Then you pull on the jacket. The weight of it on your shoulders is an anchor. The scent of new leather is clean and defiant. You look in the mirror. The woman staring back is not a packaged queen. She is you. Sharper, softer, utterly, terrifyingly yourself. You walk out. You don't parade, you simply step into the light. Anya makes a strangled sound. Dante doesn't move. He doesn't speak. The air in the room condenses, grows heavy and hot. His gaze is a physical touch, traveling from your booted feet up the line of the dress to settle on the leather jacket. His eyes darken, the gold in them smoldering. The scientist is gone. The predator is present, utterly captivated. Well, you ask, your voice steady. He closes the distance between you in 3 strides. He doesn't touch the dress. His hand rises, his fingers grazing the cool leather of the jacket collar, just above your frantic pulse. It looks like you, he murmurs, his voice a rough vibration. And I am the only one who knows what is underneath it. The possessiveness in his tone isn't threatening. It's a confession. He turns to Anya, who looks as if she's witnessed a sacrilege. We'll take it. And the boots. He pulls the black credit card from his wallet. As he hands it over, he taps his chest pocket with his free hand, a silent note to himself, a new data point, seared not into paper, but into his bones. The armor fits. She chose it herself. The Obsidian Grand Hall is a cathedral of power, and tonight it is filled with its congregation. The air hums with a low-frequency tension, the sound of 100 predatory heartbeats, the rustle of silk against muscle, the clink of crystal held in hands that could crush it to dust. You stand at the top of the grand staircase, your hand on Dante's arm. The leather jacket is your bastion, but the weight of hundreds of amber-hued eyes feels like a physical pressure against your skin. Breathe, Dante murmurs, his voice barely a vibration against your temple. They smell elevated cortisol. It reads as fear. It's not fear, you whisper back, your gaze sweeping the sea of beautiful, dangerous faces below. It's market analysis. I'm calculating the probability of a hostile takeover. A ghost of a smile touches his lips. Then note, the asset is under my absolute protection. Any hostile move will be met with terminal force. He says it like a market forecast. It steadies you. You descend. The murmurs don't die. They change pitch. The scent of your vanilla and defiance is a strange human thread in the tapestry of musk, ozone, and old blood. Dante moves through the crowd like a shark through still water, a wake of bowed heads and averted eyes forming behind him. He introduces you with a simple, "My fiancée, Maya." Not the human. The title is a shield he places around you. For an hour, you hold your own. You trade the polished, empty currency of corporate small talk with alphas and their mates. You discuss export tariffs with a wolf who smells of pine and iron. You listen to a she-wolf's lament about coastal erosion on her pack's territory. You are performing, yes, but you are also learning. Their world is brutal, but its politics are just a more visceral version of your own. Then she arrives. Jessica of the Silver Creek Pack is a spectacle in crimson silk. Her hair is a cascade of gold, her smile a razor wrapped in velvet. She moves with a lethal grace, the crowd parting for her not out of respect, but out of instinctive caution. She beelines for Dante, ignoring you completely. "Dante, darling," she purrs, placing a familiar hand on his forearm. "You've been neglecting the Northern Territories. We missed you at the last moon hunt." Her scent is cloying, like orchids left to rot. "I've been occupied," Dante says, his voice cool. He doesn't shake her off, but the muscle in his jaw tightens. "Jessica, this is Maya." Jessica's gaze finally slides to you. It's a slow, dismissive appraisal. Her eyes linger on the leather jacket, and her perfect nose wrinkles slightly. "How novel." She lets out a tinkling laugh that sets your teeth on edge. A human in a biker jacket. Is she the evening's entertainment? A living art piece? The words are a calculated splash of acid. The wolves within earshot go preternaturally still. Dante goes rigid beside you, a silent tremor of rage you feel through your linked arms. You place your free hand over his, a subtle pressure. She fights her own battles. You smile, the same one you use on rivals who underestimate you in the boardroom. "The jacket's a Vargas. It costs more than your car. The entertainment, I believe, is watching you try to be relevant." You tilt your head. It's not working. Jessica's smile doesn't falter. It sharpens. Her eyes flash a dangerous, sulfuric yellow. "You have spirit, pet, but you smell like prey. This is a room of wolves. You don't belong here." She takes a step closer, pretending to adjust the strap of her gown. As she sways, the full glass of blood-dark Cabernet in her hand slips. Time seems to slow. The glass tumbles. The wine arcs through the air, a deliberate, graceful cascade aimed not at you, but at the vulnerable silk of your skirt, below the cover of your jacket. The liquid hits with a cold, shocking slap. A dark, spreading stain blooms across the midnight blue, ugly and wet. A collective gasp slices through the music. The orchestra stutters to a halt. Every eye in the cavernous room is locked on you, on the ruin of the beautiful dress, on the triumphant gleam in Jessica's eyes. Dante turns to look at the stain. Then he looks at Jessica. The change in him is not dramatic. He doesn't roar. He doesn't shift. He simply solidifies. The air around him drops 20 degrees. The casual power he wears like a suit evaporates, replaced by something ancient and glacial. When he speaks, his voice is soft, deceptively calm, and it carries to the farthest corner of the silent hall. Jessica. Just her name. It sounds like a verdict. You are a beta of the Silver Creek Pack. Your reflexes are honed to catch a darting rabbit in the underbrush. You can track a scent over 3 miles of running water. He takes a single step toward her. And yet, standing still, you could not maintain your grip on a glass of wine. Jessica pales. "It was an accident, Alpha. She moved unexpectedly." "Did she?" Dante asks, his head tilting in that predatory way. "The security feed from the chandelier will have a clear angle. Shall we review it now? In front of your Alpha, who is, I see, already mortified by your behavior?" He gestures to a stricken-looking older man across the room. Jessica's confidence cracks. "I meant no disrespect." "You have offered 2 possibilities," Dante continues, his voice a silken trap. "Incompetence or malice. If you are incompetent with such a basic motor function, you are unfit to represent your pack in this hall. If your actions were malicious," he lets the word hang, thick and poisonous, "then you have publicly insulted my chosen mate. That is a challenge to the crown. That is treason. The word treason lands with the weight of a stone coffin. Jessica's knees buckle. She doesn't choose to kneel. The weight of his will forces her down. She hits the marble with a painful crack, her head bowed, her body trembling. "Apologize," Dante commands, and this time he uses the voice. It's not a sound you hear with your ears. It's a pressure in your skull, a primal command that bypasses thought. "I apologize," Jessica chokes out, the words ripped from her. "I am sorry, my queen." Dante doesn't look at her. He looks at you. The choice is in his eyes. Her fate is yours to decide. The entire pack holds its breath, waiting to see what kind of queen you will be. Vengeful or merciful? Wolf or human? You look down at the trembling woman, at the ruined dress, at the expectant, hungry faces around you. Vengeance would be easy, expected even. But you remember the notebook. She defends the territory. This is your territory now. You step forward, your wine-soaked skirt clinging to your legs. You reach to a passing waiter's tray and take a crisp white linen napkin. You offer it to Jessica, not with pity, but with the cool detachment of a CEO handling a minor HR incident. "Accidents happen when one is nervous," you say, your voice clear and carrying. "Perhaps switch to white wine next time, Jessica. It stains less." The silence breaks into a wave of muted shock, then grudging approval. You have not shown weakness. You have shown a devastating, graceful strength. The strength to withhold the violence they all expected. You have humiliated her with mercy. Jessica takes the napkin, her fingers shaking, her eyes burning with a hatred now mixed with utter humiliation. She scrambles up and flees into the crowd. Dante turns to you. The glacial rage is gone, replaced by a fierce, glowing pride that heats the air between you. He doesn't speak. He simply holds out his hand. The orchestra, taking its cue, strikes up a slow, sweeping waltz. You place your wine-stained hand in his. He leads you to the center of the empty dance floor, his other hand coming to rest on the small of your back, right over the leather jacket. His touch is an inescapable anchor. "You handled that with the precision of a tactical strike," he murmurs against your hair as he pulls you close. "I just wanted her gone," you whisper into the wool of his tuxedo. "You made her irrelevant," he corrects, his voice thick with a possessiveness that feels like a reward. "And you made them see you." He begins to move, leading you into the steps. The world narrows to the space between your bodies, to the heat of his hand, to the scent of him cutting through the memory of spilled wine. The rules are ashes. The contract is a distant memory. There is only the dance, and the terrifying realization that you no longer want him to be acting. The waltz is a live civilization, but in his arms, it becomes a different kind of truth. His hand on the small of your back is an inescapable anchor, a point of heat that radiates through the leather jacket and the stained silk beneath. He leads with an absolute certainty, his steps firm and commanding, yet his body adjusts minutely to yours, compensating for your inexperience before you even stumble. The watching eyes, the whispered judgments, the lingering scent of Cabernet, they all blur into a distant haze. The world is the solid wall of his chest, the scent of rain and cedar wood, and the low, steady rhythm of his heartbeat against your own frantic one. He leans down, his lips brushing the shell of your ear. "You are trembling." "I don't dance," you murmur into his shoulder, your voice muffled by the fine wool of his tuxedo. "You are now," he replies, and the rumble of his voice vibrates through you. He spins you slowly, the room becoming a swirl of light and shadow. "And you are perfect." The word is a shock, not a data point, not an observation, a declaration. You tilt your head back to look at him. His amber eyes are dark, focused solely on you, the gold in them glowing softly in the ballroom's chandelier light. The mask of the calculating king is gone. What remains is terrifyingly raw. "You haven't been acting, have you?" you whisper, the question leaving you before you can cage it. He doesn't pretend to misunderstand. He shakes his head once, a slow, deliberate motion. "No, not since the moment you called Marcus Cujo. Perhaps not since you sprayed me with lemon water." His thumb strokes a slow arc over your spine. The debt manipulation was to secure you, to create a cage of time where you could not run. I needed you to see me. That's not romantic, you breathe. A shiver that has nothing to do with fear tracing down your back. That's a predator explaining his hunt. Yes, he admits, utterly without shame. It is. My wolf recognized its mate. My mind devised the strategy to keep her. I see no distinction. He pulls you closer until there is no space left between you. Your body aligns with his, a shocking, full-length contact that steals your breath. I should be furious, you say, but the words lack conviction. The last of your professional resistance is dissolving, melting under the heat of his hands, the honesty of his confession. Be furious tomorrow, he murmurs, his lips grazing your temple. Tonight, just feel this. And you do. You feel the terrifying rightness of it, the way your body fits against his, as if the empty spaces you've carried for years were carved specifically for him. The line between captive and willing participant doesn't just blur, it evaporates. You are not a prisoner in his arms. You are home. The music swells to its conclusion. He dips you, a deep, graceful arc that leaves you breathless, suspended in the air with only his strength holding you. As he pulls you back up, your face is inches from his. The air crackles. Against your will, against every logical argument your mind can muster, the truth escapes in a whisper. Maybe you are my type after all. His triumphant smile is not smug. It is radiant, a sunrise of pure, unadulterated victory. He leans in, his forehead resting against yours. I told you, he breathes, the words a warm seal on the promise. I told you I'd change your mind. The music ends, the spell shatters. The applause of the pack is a wave of sound that crashes back into your awareness. He straightens, his arm still tight around you, but the reality of the contract, the debt, the 30-day limit, rushes back in. Now, however, it is tainted, poisoned by the terrifying, exhilarating knowledge that nothing about this feels fake anymore. You return to the Tipsy Bean 2 days later, needing the smell of ground coffee and your mother's chaotic energy to scrub the scent of the gala from your skin. You are in your element, apron on, hair in a messy knot, your combat boots planted firmly behind the counter. Dante is a shadow in the corner booth, a looming anomaly in the cozy, sunlit cafe. He is a king slumming it, sipping a single espresso for 3 hours, his presence a silent command that keeps the Saturday brunch crowd uncharacteristically polite. You are explaining the intricacies of oat milk foam to a confused customer when Leo, your cheerful, relentlessly human barback, breezes past. He's been dusting the pastry case with flour. As he slides behind you to grab a rag, his hand comes up to brush a stray dusting of white from the shoulder of your leather jacket. A quick, friendly, utterly harmless gesture. The sound that rips through the cafe is not human. It is a guttural, seismic growl that seems to originate from the foundations of the building itself. Every glass on the shelves rattles. The cheerful jazz music cuts out as if severed. Leo freezes, his hand still hovering near your shoulder, his face draining of color. You look up. Dante is no longer sitting. He is standing. The espresso cup is crushed in his hand, dark liquid and fine porcelain shards dripping onto the table. His eyes are not amber. They are a blazing, toxic yellow, the pupils vertical slits. The air in the room curdles, thickening with a static charge that makes the hair on your arms stand up. He is not looking at you. He is looking solely at Leo's offending hand, with a focus so pure it feels like a physical laser. In the space of a blink, he is across the room. He doesn't run, he simply is there, a wall of fury between you and Leo. He doesn't touch the boy. He doesn't need to. His presence is a violence. He touched you. The words are a ragged snarl, layered with the growl of the beast beneath. His logic is gone, incinerated by a primal fire. His scent is all over you. He wants what is mine. Dante, you say, your voice low and firm, the voice you use to de-escalate a drunk. He was brushing off flour. It was nothing. It was a claim, he roars, and the windows shake. Leo whimpers, backing into the counter. He put his hands on what belongs to me. My wolf does not understand behave. It understands mine. You see the tremor in his massive frame, the fight to keep the shift at bay. Reason is a language he no longer speaks. You remember the notebook, the clinical observations. You remember the touch in the storm. Data points coalesce into instinct. You don't step between them. You step toward him. You reach out, not to push, but to connect. You place your palm flat against the center of his chest, right over the furious, pounding rhythm of his heart. The fine wool of his suit is hot to the touch. You don't speak. You just hold your hand there, a steady, silent pressure. The effect is instantaneous. The furious yellow in his eyes flickers, receding like a tide pulled by the moon. The terrifying tension in his shoulders unlocks. A shudder runs through him. He looks down at your hand, then up at your face, the wildness replaced by a dazed, vulnerable confusion. He leans into your touch, his own massive hand coming up to cover yours, pressing it harder against his heart as if to fuse it there. You, he breathes, the word ragged with spent fury and awe. You are dangerous. Because I have a spray bottle, you whisper, for his ears only. Because you calm the storm without speaking a word, he murmurs. His other hand comes up to cradle your jaw, his thumb stroking your cheekbone. A gesture of possession so tender it steals your breath. The beast is soothed, but the claim is absolute. He looks past you to Leo, who is now practically fused with the espresso machine. The command in Dante's voice is back, but it is the king speaking now, not the wolf. Leave. Do not return to her shift. You don't argue. You just keep your hand on his heart until his own pulse steadies to match yours. Later, in the quiet of the penthouse, you will see him pull out the black notebook. He will write, his movements slow and deliberate. Note: touch is the most efficient grounding mechanism. Jealousy is an irrational but non-negotiable system protocol. He will look up, catch you watching, and the ghost of that possessive, terrified beast will flicker in his eyes before he tucks the book away, a secret between him and his desperate, studied heart. The sky fractures at dusk. The storm isn't a gradual siege, it's an ambush. One moment, the city is a tapestry of twilight gold. The next, the world is a cage of howling wind and shattering glass. A lightning bolt strikes so close to the tower, the concussion of thunder is a physical blow, rattling your teeth in your skull. The power flickers, dies, and the penthouse plunges into a roaring, elemental dark. You're on the floor of the living room before you realize you've moved. The polished marble is cold against your cheek. Your hands are clamped over your ears, but it does nothing. The storm isn't outside. It's inside your bones. It's the sound of everything you can't control. The debt, the contract, the terrifying slide of your own feelings. It's the sound of your father's car skidding on a rainy night a lifetime ago. Logic is a distant country. You are 7 years old again, small and powerless, waiting for the sky to fall in. You don't hear him approach. You feel him. A solid wall of heat and scent materializes beside you in the dark. Dante doesn't ask if you're okay. He doesn't offer hollow comfort. He assesses the situation with a predator's calm. Another world-shaking crack of thunder. You flinch violently, a whimper escaping your clenched throat. Inefficient, he murmurs, more to himself than to you. He stands. In the strobe light of the lightning, you see him walk to the massive white sectional. He doesn't sit. He begins to dismantle it. He pulls the heavy cushions free, tossing them into a pile in the center of the room. He yanks the throws from the back, the wool blankets from a storage chest. He moves with a purposeful, methodical grace, building not furniture, but architecture. He takes the cushions, stacking them into low walls. He drapes the blankets over the backs of chairs, the coffee table, creating a sloping roof. He weighs the corners down with law books from his study, with a heavy bronze sculpture. Within minutes, a strange, shadowy structure takes shape in the middle of the vast, dark room. A den, a cave, a fortress of fabric and down. He kneels at the entrance, a dark silhouette against the flashing chaos outside. "Get in," he says. It is not a request. It is the gentlest command you've ever heard. You crawl forward on trembling limbs. You slip through the opening. Inside, the world changes. The sound of the storm is muffled, distant, a rumble through layers of wool and velvet. The air is warm, still, and saturated with his scent, cedarwood and safety. A small, battery-powered lantern sits in the center, casting a soft, golden dome of light. It is a universe 2 meters wide. He crawls in after you, filling the space. He doesn't touch you. He sits cross-legged, facing you, a silent guardian in the gloom. Better? You nod, unable to speak. Your heart is still a trapped bird against your ribs. Another boom, this one deeper, longer. It vibrates through the floor. A full-body shudder racks you, and the last of your control shatters. You don't think. You move. You launch yourself across the small space and into his lap. You bury your face in the curve of his neck, your fists clutching the soft cotton of his shirt. You are not a negotiator. You are not a queen. You are a creature seeking shelter, and he is the only solid thing in a breaking world. He goes still for a heartbeat. Then his arms come around you, one banding across your back, the other cradling the back of your head. He holds you not like something fragile, but like something essential. "I've got you," he rumbles, and his voice is a deeper, warmer vibration than the thunder. You feel it in your chest, a steady counter-rhythm to your panic. Nothing gets in here. Not the storm, not the council, not the past, nothing. You believe him. In this small, dark space built by his hands, you believe him completely. The tears come then, hot and silent, soaking into his shirt. He doesn't tell you to stop. He just holds you, his chin resting on the top of your head, his breath stirring your hair. A long time later, when the storm has settled into a steady, distant drumming, you whisper into his skin, "Why are you so nice to me?" "You are my mate," he says, as if it explains the universe. "I'm mean to you. I fight you on everything." "You are the only person who sees me," he murmurs, his lips moving against your hair. "Not the king, not the monster. Me. The man who is lonely in a tower." The confession is so quiet, so stark, it steals your breath. "I don't want to be alone anymore, Maya." You lift your head. His face is in shadow, the lantern light gilding the sharp line of his jaw. You see the truth there, naked and unguarded. The notebook, the strategies, the clinical courtship. It was all the flailing of a brilliant, powerful creature who had never known how to ask for this. For a cave in the dark. For quiet. For you. You don't kiss him. You rest your forehead against his, your noses touching, sharing the same warm, scented air. In the fortress he built, with the storm raging harmlessly outside, you finally stop running. You are already home. The air inside the blanket fort had shifted. The storm was a distant memory, but a new, more intimate electricity had taken its place. You were still in his lap, your forehead resting against his, sharing breath. His hands were on your waist, his thumbs drawing slow, maddening circles on the thin cotton of your sleep shirt. The lantern light painted his face in gold and shadow, highlighting the stark want in his amber eyes. "Dante," you breathed, the name a confession. "Maya," he replied, his voice a graveled promise. His gaze dropped to your mouth. You sighted the crumbling wall between you, the last defense. "This is against the rules. Clause 1, subsection A." A slow, predatory smile touched his lips. "I am the king," he murmured, leaning in until his breath warmed your skin. "I can amend the laws." "But the contract." "I stopped acting 3 days ago," he said, the raw honesty stripping away the last pretense. "I haven't been acting since you walked out of that dressing room in the leather jacket. The contract is dead. What's left?" He swallowed, the movement stark in his throat. "What's left is just me, wanting you." The words were a detonation in the quiet space. The debt, the species, the 30-day limit, none of it existed. There was only the heat of him, the solid weight of his thighs beneath you, and the terrifying, exhilarating truth. He didn't wait for permission. He closed the final inch. His kiss was not gentle. It was hunger and frustration and days of taut clinical tension snapping all at once. It was a claim, absolute and consuming. He tasted like expensive coffee and a dark, wild truth. His hand slid from your waist to cradle the back of your head, angling you to deepen the kiss, his other arm locking around you, pulling you flush against the unyielding wall of his chest. You didn't just let him. You kissed him back. A sound escaped you, part sigh, part surrender, and you fisted your hands in the soft hair at the nape of his neck, pulling him closer. He growled into your mouth, the vibration a primal thrill that shot straight to your core. This was not data collection. This was a wildfire, and you were both burning. When you finally broke apart, gasping for air, your forehead fell back against his. Your lips were swollen, tingling. The world outside the fort was a forgotten dream. "Okay," you whispered, the words trembling with the force of your admission. "Maybe you are my type." He smiled then, a triumphant, breathtaking smile that lit his entire face. He kissed you again, softer this time, a sealing press of lips. "I told you," he breathed against your mouth, his voice thick with victory and something deeper, something like reverence. "I told you I'd change your mind." He reached beside him, his movement slightly unsteady, and picked up the fallen black notebook and pen. He flipped it open with a soft snap. "Seriously?" you asked, breathless. "Now?" "Critical data," he muttered, his handwriting uncharacteristically rushed. He showed you the page. Step 50, kiss the girl. Status, complete. Mutual participation confirmed. Hypothesis validated. He dropped the pen. It rolled into the shadows of the fort. He looked from the words to you, his eyes glowing in the lamplight. "The experiment is over," he said, his voice a low vow. "The study is concluded. This is just us now." You woke tangled in the warm, woolen darkness of the fort, your cheek pillowed on his chest. His heartbeat was a slow, steady drum under your ear. For a long, blissful moment, there was only that rhythm, his scent, and the profound quiet of a world that had finally stopped spinning. Then the cold spot registered. You opened your eyes. You were alone in the nest of blankets and cushions. The lantern had died. Gray morning light filtered through the fabric walls. You crawled out, your body stiff and sore in the most wonderful way. The penthouse was silent, the storm's violence replaced by a serene, washed-clean calm. You followed the scent of coffee and burning? You found him in the kitchen. He was dressed in suit trousers and a white shirt, the sleeves meticulously rolled to his elbows. But he wasn't on his tablet. He was standing at the sink, his brow furrowed in intense concentration, scrubbing a frying pan with a bristle brush and militant focus. A small, defeated-looking pile of blackened something sat in the compost bin. You leaned against the doorframe, crossing your arms. "You have a staff of 20, and that's a non-stick pan. You're murdering it." He didn't look up. "Brenda said foreplay is doing the dishes." He scrubbed harder. "I am doing the dishes." A laugh bubbled up in your chest, warm and irrepressible. It spilled out, bright and clear in the quiet room. "She was speaking metaphorically, you ridiculous wolf." He paused, finally looking at you. A smudge of soap suds was on his jaw. He looked so earnestly confused, so utterly committed to getting this wrong in the most perfect way, that your heart did a slow, delicious somersault. He was trying. He was really, truly trying. He rinsed the pan, set it carefully in the drying rack, and dried his hands on a towel. Then he walked to you. He didn't speak. He cradled your face in his still damp hands and kissed you. It was soft, lingering, a promise whispered from his lips to yours. When he pulled back, his eyes were the warm, clear amber of a peaceful morning. "I have to clear my schedule today," he said, his thumb stroking your cheekbone. "Why?" "For us," he said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Tonight we make it real. No more contracts, no more data. I'm taking you to the ancestral estate. There are traditions, ones that matter. He beamed, a genuine, unguarded expression of joy that transformed his entire face. He looked younger, lighter. He kissed your forehead. Wear the ring. Don't take it off. He grabbed his jacket, heading for the elevator. Just before the doors closed, you saw him pull out the black notebook. He checked something off with a triumphant flourish, a man crossing the final item off a lifelong to-do list. The hopeful bubble that expanded in your chest was fragile and glorious. You floated through the morning, the memory of his kiss on your lips, the phantom weight of his hands on your skin. You needed to tell someone. You needed the grounding chaos of home. You drove Bumble to the Tipsy Bean. The familiar smell of coffee and Brenda's lavender perfume was a balm. She was in the back office, and you spent 20 minutes breathlessly whispering the whole story. The fort, the kiss, the dishes, the estate. She cried happy tears, declared it Chapter 22 levels of epic, and made you 2 celebratory lattes with heart-shaped foam. You were sitting at the window booth, spinning the heavy gold ring on your finger, watching the foam hearts melt, when the bell chimed. The man who walked in was handsome in a way that felt manufactured. Slicked back blonde hair, a suit that was too trendy, a smile that didn't reach his cold, assessing eyes. Vargas. You knew him from the Gala Whispers, alpha of the Silver Creek Pack, Jessica's sire. Maya, he said, sliding into the booth opposite you without invitation. His scent was cloying, like overripe fruit and ozone. What a charming little prison. The cafe is closed, you said, your voice cool. The hopeful bubble tightened, growing brittle. I'm not here for coffee. He placed a manila envelope on the table between you. I'm here to offer you the truth. Before you make a mistake, you can't uncook. He tapped the envelope. Dante is a brilliant strategist. He doesn't believe in chance. He believes in acquisition. Your heart was a cold, hard stone in your chest. Get out. Check the dates, Maya, he whispered, leaning forward. Check the date on the foreclosure notice for this cafe. Then check the date his holding company bought the debt. He smiled, a thin, cruel curve of his lips. He didn't save you from the shark. He is the shark. He broke your leg so he could be the one to carry you. He stood, adjusting his cufflinks. Enjoy your latte. I suspect it will be your last happy one for a while. He left. The envelope sat between you like a live grenade. Your hands were ice as you opened it. The documents were crisp, official. A transfer of debt ownership to Obsidian Holdings, LLC. Dated October 12th. The foreclosure notice sent to Brenda. Dated October 13th. An internal email, printed, from Dante to his legal counsel. Subject, the Lynn asset. Body, acquire the debt immediately. Need full leverage before first contact. Execute foreclosure notice the morning after my approach to maximize duress. She will not agree otherwise. October 12th, the day before he walked into your boardroom. The victory, the tension, the scent of him that had clouded your senses. It wasn't fate. It was a trap. He had scouted you, engineered your desperation, and walked in as the architect of your ruin, offering a lifeline he himself had severed. The hopeful bubble didn't just pop. It crystallized, then shattered into a million razor-sharp shards. The kiss in the fort, the smile as he checked his notebook. Was step 51, secure emotional investment? The romance was just another clause, the final manipulation in a contract of total control. A cold, quiet fury settled in your veins, freezing the tears before they could fall. You weren't his mate. You were his most successfully acquired asset, and you were done being managed. You waited in the wreckage of the penthouse, your bags by the door. The blanket fort was a neatly folded ghost. The elevator chimed. He entered, bearing lilies, beaming. He saw the bags. His smile died. You threw the evidence. He didn't deny it. I needed leverage, time. You stole my choice. That's not love. That's dog training. You pulled the ring off, setting it beside the lilies. You aren't my type. You never will be. His control crumbled. If you leave, you walked out. The elevator doors closed on him standing alone. The silence in your old apartment is a living thing. It's not the quiet of an empty room. It's a vacuum, a hollow ache that starts in your chest and spreads out until the very air feels thin and useless. You turn up the heat, but a deeper cold has taken root in your bones. A chill that has nothing to do with temperature. You try to work. You stand behind the counter at the Tipsy Bean, your hands moving through the automatic rituals of grinding, tamping, steaming. But your mind is 1,000 miles away, trapped in the memory of a glass tower and the exact weight of a gold ring that is no longer on your finger. The coffee you make tastes like ash. Brenda watches you with worried eyes, but she doesn't mention his name. She just brings you soup you don't eat and leaves alien romance novels open on the table, as if their outrageous plots could shock you back to life. The first delivery arrives on the third day. It's not flowers. A courier leaves a heavy, unmarked cardboard box on the cafe step. Inside, packed in pristine foam, are 50 pounds of professional-grade sculpting clay. The exact mineral-rich gray earthware you drooled over in art school catalogs and could never justify buying. There is no note, just the clay, cool and promising under your fingertips. You'd whispered that to him once, in the dark of the blanket fort, a throwaway confession about a dream you'd buried. I miss the smell of wet clay. He had written it down. The next day, a crate arrives. Inside, vacuum-sealed bags of rare, single-origin Ethiopian beans. The specific heirloom varietal you'd once described as tasting like blueberries and jasmine. The day after that, a sleek box containing top-of-the-line noise-canceling headphones. For the storms. He isn't sending apologies. He isn't sending jewels. He is sending proof. Tangible, meticulous evidence that he had listened. That every secret, every passing wish, every fear had been captured in his neat script and filed away. Not as a manipulation, but as a sacred text. He is weaponizing his own attention against you. A malicious man sends roses, Brenda says softly, watching you trace the grain of the perfect clay. A man in love sends you your dreams. It doesn't change what he did, you say, but the words sound hollow even to you. The betrayal is a hard, cold stone in your gut. But these gifts? They are the ghost of his hands building a fort in the dark. They are the memory of coffee made perfect without being asked. They are not the actions of a man who sees you as an asset. They are the frantic, clumsy offerings of a man who studied the stars and is now trying to rebuild one from memory. The internal war is a silent, grinding torture. The logical part of you, the negotiator, lists the facts like charges in a trial. Predatory acquisition, calculated duress, theft of autonomy. This neutral zone exists under the protection of a claim, Vargas continues, walking slowly along the line of tables, trailing a finger through the dust. Your claim is forfeit. You return the ring. The king is indisposed. This place, and you along with it, are now unprotected assets in contested territory. He stops in front of you. His scent is overwhelming, aggressive. I think it's time we discuss the terms of your new management. The word management is a euphemism that hangs in the air, rotten and clear. You don't hesitate. Your hand dives for the pocket of your apron, closing around the cool, familiar plastic of your spray bottle. It's a pathetic weapon against 3 wolves, but it's a declaration of war. Vargas's smile widens. Feisty. I see the appeal. He nods to the enforcer on his left. You don't aim for the eyes. You aim for the nose, the most sensitive scent organ. You squeeze. A stream of lemon juice and water hits the first wolf square in the face. He bellows, clawing at his snout, his enhanced senses turning the mild irritant into searing agony. It buys you 2 seconds. Run, Mom, you scream, lunging for the heavy ceramic sugar jar on the counter. Brenda doesn't run. She grabs the industrial coffee grinder, a 10-pound block of steel, and hurls it at the second enforcer with a furious cry. It clips his shoulder, throwing him off balance. Vargas is on you. He moves with the blurring speed that Dante never used against you. His hand closes in your hair, yanking your head back with a brutal jerk. Pain explodes across your scalp. Enough of this, he snarls, his breath hot and foul against your ear. You're coming with me. The king needs a final lesson in loss. You twist, driving your elbow backward. It connects with something solid, but it's like hitting a brick wall. He laughs. Then his other hand comes around, a cloth pressed over your nose and mouth. It smells sickly sweet, chemical. Chloroform. A human solution for a human problem. The world tilts, the edges blurring into a tunnel of Vargas's triumphant grin. The last thing you hear is Brenda's scream, cut short by a sickening thud. The pain in Dante's chest is not the healed silver wound. It is a psychic hook, barbed and white-hot, yanking at the very center of his being. He is in the ruins of his penthouse, staring at the ring on the marble floor when it hits. One moment, there is the dull, endless throb of her absence. The next, a searing, silent scream tears through the mate bond, a cord he thought she had severed, but that had only gone dormant, waiting for this exact frequency of terror. Maya. Her name is not a thought. It is a tectonic shift in his soul. The black notebook falls from his hands. The scientist, the king, the strategist, all are incinerated in the furnace of that single psychic cry. There is only the wolf, and the wolf has heard its mate call in true pain. He doesn't take the elevator. He turns and runs straight for the floor-to-ceiling window of the balcony. He doesn't slow. He shifts in mid-stride. The sound is of rending fabric and cracking bone, of violence born of pure necessity. His clothes shred. A monster erupts from the ruin of the man, a wolf of shadow and obsidian, larger than any natural beast, his eyes 2 pits of molten gold fire. He hits the reinforced glass not as a man, but as a projectile of pure rage. The window doesn't shatter. It explodes outward in a crystalline supernova, raining daggers of glass down 60 stories. He leaps into the open air. For a heartbeat, he is falling. Then the trajectory of his powerful hind legs launches him in a parabolic arc. He lands on the terrace of the adjacent skyscraper, his claws screeching on granite, and he is already running, a black streak of vengeance against the glass and steel canyon. He doesn't think of routes, of traffic, of witnesses. His mate's scent is a screaming beacon in his mind, a thread of vanilla and terror being pulled taut. He follows it, a hunter on a blood trail, gravity and physics mere suggestions he disdains. He reaches the tipsy bean in minutes. The front door is splintered from its frame. The scent inside is a cocktail of violence. Brenda's fear blood, the acrid tang of Vargas's pack, the fading, sweet poison of chloroform. And underneath it all, Maya's defiant vanilla, screamingly bright with adrenaline, and then nothing. Taken. Brenda is slumped against the espresso machine, a trickle of blood at her temple, but her chest rises and falls. The black wolf nudges her gently with his massive head. She groans, her eyes fluttering open. She sees the beast looming over her and doesn't flinch. Recognition and a fierce, pained relief fills her gaze. He took her, she rasps, her voice slurred. Vargas, Silver Creek. He said, Docks. The name is the final key in the lock. Vargas. A red film descends over Dante's vision. The wolf throws back its head and howls. It is not a sound of mourning. It is the sound of the world ending. It is a declaration of extermination. Every window on the block vibrates. Every dog in the city cowers. Every member of the Obsidian Bloods, wherever they are, feels it in their marrow. The king's mate has been taken. The king is going to war. He is a blur through the back alley, a shadow flowing over fences and walls. The scent trail is clear now, a foul oil slick of Silver Creek arrogance overlaid on her fading sweetness. It leads to the industrial docks, a maze of decaying warehouses and forgotten waterways. The warehouse Vargas has chosen is a rusted cathedral of despair. Dante doesn't bother with the doors. He aims for the corroded metal siding and hits it at a full, silent run. The sheet metal doesn't bend, it implodes, tearing inward with a shriek of protesting steel. He lands in a cloud of dust and rust particles, a demon emerging from the wall itself. Inside, the scene is a grotesque tableau. Vargas stands near a rusted pillar. His enforcers are positioned around the space. And in the center, tied to a metal chair, is Maya. Her head lolls, consciousness swimming back through the chemical fog. A bruise is forming on her temple. Vargas spins, his face a mask of shock that quickly curdles into defiance. Moretti, I didn't think you had the spine left to... Dante doesn't let him finish. The rescue is not a negotiation. It is a culling. He moves. The first enforcer dies before he can fully shift, his throat torn out by a swipe of claws that move faster than sight. The second gets a half shift out, a grotesque hybrid of man and wolf, before Dante seizes him by the torso and uses his body as a battering ram against a steel support beam. The crunch is wet and final. It takes less than 10 seconds. Then it is just Dante, standing between Maya and Vargas, his muzzle dripping, his chest heaving, his golden eyes fixed on the last living threat. Vargas is not a fool. He sees his death in those eyes. His hand flies to his waistband. He draws not a conventional gun, but a sleek, matte black pistol with a barrel that gleams with a sinister, pearlescent sheen. Silver. Hollow point. He doesn't aim at Dante. He sidesteps, the gun unwavering, and points it directly at Maya's heart. Stop, he shrieks, his bravado gone, replaced by the panic of a cornered rat. Another step and I paint the wall with her. Shift back. Show me the man or I swear I'll do it. Dante freezes. The beast rages, howling for blood. But the man who built a fort in a storm, reasserts control. The mate's life overrides all other protocols. The shift back is slower, painful, bones realigning with audible cracks. He stands before Vargas, naked, covered in the blood of her captors, utterly vulnerable. Let her go. You took everything from me, Vargas spits, the gun shaking slightly. My territory, my status. Now you'll know what it feels like. His finger tightens on the trigger. No! The cry is raw, ripped from your throat. The chloroform fog is gone, burned away by pure adrenaline. You see Dante, standing defenseless. You see Vargas's trembling finger. You don't think. You throw your weight sideways with all your strength. The metal chair tips. You crash to the concrete floor, a shock of pain blazing through your shoulder. The gunshot is deafening in the echoing silence left by the gunshot. The world contracts to a single point of agony. You are on the floor, tangled in the broken chair, your shoulder screaming. But the pain is secondary, distant. Your eyes are locked on Dante. He stumbles back. A bloom of crimson, shockingly bright, blossoms on the left side of his chest, just below his collarbone. Not the heart, but close. Too close. He looks down at the wound, then at Vargas, who is staring, horrified, at his own smoking gun. He missed the kill shot. He missed you. Dante looks at Vargas and smiles. It is a terrible, bloody smile, full of teeth and a promise of endless pain. You missed, he rasps. Then he moves. Vargas has time for one more shot. The second bullet grazes Dante's ribs, leaving a searing line of blackened, smoking flesh. Silver burns. Dante doesn't even flinch. He is on Vargas before the echo of the shot fades. There is no finesse, no strategy. It is pure obliterating force. One hand closes around Vargas's gun arm. The crack of bone is a sickening percussion. The other hand finds his throat. The final, wet crunch is the sound of a threat being permanently deleted. Dante lets the body drop. He turns, swaying on his feet. The silver is in his system now, a poison searing through his veins, fighting his legendary healing. His eyes find you, struggling against the ropes. The gold in them is dimming, clouded with pain. Maya, he wheezes, taking a step toward you. His knees buckle. He hits the concrete floor hard, catching himself on his hands. Did I pass the test? You idiot! The sob tears from your throat as you finally wrench a hand free. You scramble across the filthy floor, ignoring the shards of your chair, and crawl to him. You don't die! That's rule number 1! You don't die! You press your hands over the bullet wound in his chest. The blood is hot, slick, pumping between your fingers with a terrifying rhythm. The scent of it, copper and something uniquely, essentially him, fills your senses, a horrifying perfume. He tries to lift a hand, his fingers fumbling at the air near his ribs where there is no pocket. Notebook, he whispers, his voice fading. Write it down. Then his eyes roll back. His body goes limp, a dead weight against you. Dante! Dante! The world becomes a blur of sirens, shouted orders, and the sterile, antiseptic smell of the Obsidian Tower's private medical wing. You refuse to leave his side. They try to make you, citing contamination risk from the silver-laced blood soaking your clothes and skin. You bare your teeth, a human approximation of a snarl, and they back away. You ride in the back of the armored ambulance, his cold, large hand clutched in both of yours, your knees pressed against the gurney, as if your proximity alone could anchor his soul to his body. The surgery takes hours. You sit on the floor of the private waiting room, your back against the wall, staring at your hands. His blood has dried into a dark, rust-brown crust under your nails, in the fine lines of your palms. You refuse to wash it off. It is a covenant, a promise. If you die, I will wear your death on my skin until I burn this city down for you. Elder Marcus finds you there. He looks older, his usual hauteur replaced by a grim exhaustion. The silver was deep. It missed the heart by millimeters, but the necrosis, it's spreading. His body is fighting it. He pauses. Your mother is awake, concussion but stable. She's asking for you. You look up, your eyes dry and burning. If he dies, you say, your voice eerily calm, tell the council to prepare for a rain of fire. I will not be merciful. Marcus bows, lower than he ever has. Understood, my queen. Finally, near dawn, the surgeon emerges. He looks drained. He's stable. We removed the bullet fragments. The poison is slowed, but his healing is sluggish. He's in a coma. His body needs to focus everything on the purge. Can I see him? He won't know you're there. Can I see him? They lead you to his room. It is a stark, white cube, dominated by the bed and the symphony of machines keeping him alive. He looks pale against the sheets, his powerful frame diminished by tubes and wires. A thick bandage covers the left side of his chest. The steady, mechanical beep, beep, beep of the heart monitor is the only sound. You pull a chair to the bedside. You take his hand. It's warm again, thank God, but limp. You lace your fingers with his, careful of the IV line. Hey, you whisper, your voice cracking. You look like hell. The machine beeps a steady, indifferent reply. You talk to him. You tell him Brenda is okay. You tell him you're going to ban Aston Martins from the city. You tell him he still has to do the dishes. You sit until your back aches and your eyes sting, watching the rise and fall of his bandaged chest, praying to any god that will listen for the next breath. A kind nurse eventually persuades you to go upstairs, to shower, to change. The promise of seeing your mother finally moves you. The penthouse is a tomb of his grief. You'd forgotten the violence of his breakdown. The slashed sofa, the shattered table, the trampled lilies. You walk through it slowly, the storm of the last 24 hours leaving you numb. Near the shattered balcony doors, something winks in the morning light. The ring. You pick it up. It's cool. You don't hesitate. You slide it back onto your finger. The weight of it is an anchor, a decision made in blood and silence. Then you see it, half buried under a shredded cushion. The black notebook. Its cover is scratched, the leather gouged by a claw. Your breath hitches. This is it. The ledger of his sins. The blueprint of your manipulation. You sink to the floor amidst the ruins of his home and your shared fort, and you open it. You expect financial figures, asset lists, timelines for acquisition. Instead, you find a love letter written in data. Page 1. Objective. Courtship. Subject, Maya Lin. Note, she values autonomy over security. Do not cage. Provide wings. Page 14. She shivers in air conditioning. Install radiant heating in her suite. Source, silent system. Page 27. She defends the territory. Do not interfere. Note, called Marcus Cujo. Adorable. Effective. Page 41. She misses sculpting. Research high-grade mineral clay. Non-toxic. Order from Italy. Page 47. Foreplay is doing the dishes. Brenda's advice. Test hypothesis. See attached scorched pan for failed experiment. Page 49. She kissed back. Hypothesis confirmed. Note, the world narrows to the space between her mouth and mine. Data insufficient. Requires further study. And then the final entry. The handwriting is shaky, desperate, the ink smudged as if by a trembling hand or a stray drop of water. She left. I drove her away. The strategy was flawless. The outcome is catastrophic. I am not a king without her. I am just a beast. If I cannot have her, I do not want the city. I do not want the breath in my lungs. Maya. You close the book, holding it to your chest as a silent, shuddering sob racks your body. He hadn't been learning to own you. He had been learning, with the desperate, clinical focus of a man who only understood battle plans and balance sheets, how to love you, how to be worthy of you. The debt, the manipulation, it was the catastrophic error of a brilliant tactician who saw the prize and used the only weapons he knew to secure it. He hadn't bought a mate. He had declared war on his own loneliness, and you were the territory he was desperate to claim, not as a possession, but as a homeland. The truth doesn't erase the betrayal. It simply frames it, makes it heartbreaking instead of monstrous. He was a wolf trying to write poetry, and all he had was a ledger. But he tried. He studied. He built a fort. You stand up, the notebook clutched in your blood-stained hand, the ring heavy and right on your finger. You don't bother with the shower. You run. The beeping in the room is no longer steady. It's a frantic, staccato alarm. You burst through the door to find Dante awake, or partially so. He's fighting the medical restraints, his body arching off the bed, a guttural, panicked growl tearing from his throat. Maya, where is she? I'm here. You rush to the bedside, grabbing his face between your hands, forcing his wild, unfocused gaze to yours. I'm right here, Dante. Stop. You're safe. He freezes, his chest heaving. He blinks, his eyes clearing, the gold in them dim with pain and drugs. They drop to the ring on your finger, then snap back to your face. Confusion wars with a desperate, fragile hope. You came back. You have the ring. I went to get it, you say, your voice thick. He shakes his head, the movement weak. Why? I lied to you. I manipulated the debt. I engineered your despair. I am the villain in Vargas's story, and he was right. Yes, you say, your thumbs stroking his stubbled cheeks. You did. And we are going to have a very, very long conversation about healthy communication and not using economic terrorism as a courtship strategy. You hold up the black notebook. His eyes widen, a flicker of shame passing through them. But I read this. He closes his eyes, turning his head slightly as if to hide. Go ahead, laugh. The Alpha King needs an instruction manual for love. I'm not laughing. You open the book to a dog-eared page. Step 23. She looks beautiful when she argues. Do not kiss her to shut her up unless she asks. You look at him. You studied me, Dante, not to own me, to understand me. He opens his eyes. The vulnerability there is absolute. I didn't know how else to do it, he whispers, the confession ripped from a deep, untouched place. I have never wanted. Not like this. I saw you, and my wolf knew, but I am a strategist, a king. I only know how to acquire, to secure. I thought if I followed the steps, if I collected the data, I wouldn't ruin it. But I ruined it anyway. No, you say, tears finally spilling over, tracing clean paths through the dried blood on your cheeks. You didn't ruin it. You tried. You tried so hard it broke your heart when you thought you failed. You lean down, your forehead touching his. You built me a fort in a storm. A shuddering breath escapes him. He lifts his uninjured arm, his hand trembling as it comes up to cradle the back of your head. I love you, he blurts out. It's inelegant, blunt, a raw, undefended truth with no strategy behind it. I know I started this wrong. I know the foundation is flawed. But I love you, Maya. I loved you the moment you corrected my behavior with citrus. You smile through your tears, a wet, shaky sound that is half laugh, half sob. I love you too, you big, dumb, manipulative wolf. The relief that washes over his face is so profound it seems to heal him more than the medicine. The tension leaves his body, and he sinks back into the pillows, his eyes never leaving yours. He looks young, unburdened. You reach for the pen on the bedside table and place it in his hand, then open the notebook to the last written page. You missed a step, you whisper. He looks from the pen to you, understanding dawning. What step? The last one. He uncaps the pen. His hand is steadier now. Dictate. Step 50, you say. He writes, Step 50. Kiss the girl. He writes it. Kiss the girl. He looks up, the gold in his eyes igniting. And, you continue, leaning closer until your lips are a breath from his. Never let her go. He writes the final 3 words. He drops the pen. The notebook slides from the bed to the floor, its work complete. Come here, he growls, soft and sure. You are careful of his wires, his bandages, as you climb onto the narrow hospital bed. He wraps his arm around you, pulling you into the solid, warm sanctuary of his side. He kisses you. It is slow, deep, a vow sealed in the shared taste of salt and truth. It is the end of an experiment and the beginning of a lifetime. When he pulls back, his eyes are glowing, the gold bright and clear. He tilts his head, exposing the strong column of his throat in a gesture of ultimate submission. Then his gaze drops to the curve of your neck. Maya, he whispers, the word a reverent plea. Let me mark you. Let me end all doubt. Let the world know you are mine, and I am yours, irrevocably. You don't hesitate. You tilt your head, offering him your throat, the most vulnerable part of yourself. Do it. His canines elongate, a sharp, predatory promise. He presses his lips to the sensitive juncture where your neck meets your shoulder. He pauses, a final, silent question. You answer by threading your fingers through his hair and pulling him closer. He bites down. The pain is sharp, clean, a bright flare that instantly melts into a flood of radiating warmth. It's not just physical. It's a golden thread, stitching your soul to his. You gasp, your fingers tightening in his hair. You feel him. Not just his body against yours, but him. The fierce, possessive love, the bone-deep fear of losing you, the profound, settling peace of the wolf that has finally brought its mate to ground. The connection is a silent symphony. My queen, my king, mine. He pulls back, licking the mark to seal it, his tongue a warm, soothing stroke. He rests his forehead against yours, his breathing ragged. You are my heart, he murmurs, outside my body. You are my peace, you whisper back, tracing the edge of his bandage, in the middle of the storm. A soft, rumbling chuckle vibrates through his chest. I'm still going to make you do the dishes, you add. He laughs, a real, full-bodied sound that makes the monitors chirp in protest. I know, he says, pressing a kiss to your temple. It's in the book. 18 months later, the only thing white in the penthouse is the thick shag rug that's perfect for tiny, unsteady feet. The walls are a warm taupe covered in framed photos. A wedding on a cliffside under a full moon. Brenda making a face while holding a squirming bundle. A charcoal sketch of a massive wolf sleeping curled around a much smaller human form. The air smells of roasted coffee, vanilla, and the clean, powdery scent of a sleeping baby. You are on the floor, surrounded by soft, primary-colored blocks. Luca Alexander Moretti, you say, your voice firm but laced with laughter. We do not eat the architectural integrity of the city. Spit it out. Your son, 9 months old with a head of dark, unruly curls, looks at you with Dante's exact amber eyes. He gurgles, a bubble of drool forming around the corner of his mouth where a block is wedged. One of his ears, the left one, is currently a perfect, fuzzy, black wolf's ear. The other is human. It's a toss-up, which will be present at any given moment. Gah, Luca argues and chucks the block toward the floor-to-ceiling window. It bounces harmlessly off the reinforced glass. The elevator dings softly. Dante walks in. He's wearing dark jeans and a simple black Henley, sleeves pushed up his forearms. The most powerful alpha on the continent has a faint smear of what looks like pureed sweet potato on his shoulder. The baby carrier strapped to his chest is empty. The summit, you ask, looking up? Adjourned. The Northern Alphas concede on the timber rights. They were surprisingly reasonable once I explained the alternative involved me missing my son's dinner time. He walks over, his gaze softening as it lands on Luca. He kneels, his movement still carrying that predatory grace, but gentled. He plucks the block from Luca's drooly grasp. Good arm. Poor dietary choices. He gets the arm from you, you say. The stubbornness from me. A devastating combination, Dante agrees, scooping Luca up. The baby immediately latches onto his father's nose with one chubby hand. Dante doesn't flinch. He kisses Luca's head, then leans down to kiss you, slow and sweet. How was your day? Productive. Finalized the merger with the shifter-owned tech firm. Their CEO kept calling me Little Queen. I corrected him. Dante's eyes gleam with pride. I'm sure you did. He sits on the sofa, settling Luca in the crook of his arm. From the diaper bag on the floor, he pulls out a notebook. It's not the black moleskin. That one rests in a glass case in his study, a sacred relic. This one is a soft, worn blue leather. Data entry, you ask, leaning back against his legs. Critical research, he says, his voice solemn but his eyes sparkling. He opens it. The title page reads, Parenting 101, a field study. He flips a few pages. Entry 87. The spray bottle is ineffective as a deterrent. Subject interprets it as a participatory game. Requires new strategy. You snort. Told you. Entry 88, he continues. Nap time is a tactical negotiation. The feral badger technique, screeching, limb flailing, is currently winning against the alpha command technique. Hypothesis, maternal intervention required. He looks at you over the top of the book. Your turn tomorrow. You laugh, the sound easy and full. You reach up and run your fingers through his hair. You're doing great, babe. Outside, the first drops of a summer rain begin to patter against the windows. A distant rumble of thunder echoes. Luca's human ear twitches, but he just snuggles deeper into his father's chest, his wolf ear flicking once before settling. Dante closes the notebook and sets it aside. He wraps his free arm around you, pulling you back to lean against him, completing the circle. You, him, and their son, safe in the heart of the tower. He looks down at the two of you, his world contained in this quiet moment. I know, he murmurs, his voice a deep, contented rumble. He presses his lips to your hair. I studied for this.